and I've been watching your show for a very long time now. It's the first time I'm calling. I am born and raised Muslim, and was a staunch believer of it for a very, very long time. And recently, in the past couple of months, I've come to realize that a lot of the teachings cannot be true. So I'm stuck in between this weird position where there is so much magnificent and impressive science that's available inside the Quran. But then there's also so many of the other things, a lot of the things which you guys refute, which I really have to agree with. So I'm really kind of stuck inside a position where some of it I feel might be true, and then some of it absolutely cannot be true. And, it kind of makes me, sometimes I want to believe it despite all the irregularities, and so I really don't know what to do. Also, the other thing is, I have come from a religious household, so everybody in my house prays. Muslims are supposed to pray 5 times a day. I used to, and I don't anymore, and they've started noticing this, so I just cannot say to them that I don't believe this anymore.
Right.
So do you kind of see where I'm coming from?
Yes. Yeah. Well, regarding the claims that the Quran contains some impressive science, okay, I'm not an expert on the Quran, but I've heard these claims made by people over and over again, and when you investigate, what you find out is that it's really not that impressive. I've also heard people make the same claims about the Bible, that there are passages in the Bible that reveal certain wisdom, and there was no way for people at the time that this was written to have known that. And what I would suggest is that if you have somebody making a claim that there's some great science in a particular passage, go in and read that passage as if you'd never heard anybody make any claims about science there. As if you're an outsider reading this text for the first time and no one is claiming it's about science. And if you read that passage and you don't get any kind of science out of it, then what you're seeing is that somebody's coming in after the fact and reinterpreting that in light of what science has discovered since then. And they're basically applying that interpretation to that passage.
It kind of sounds to me like you're hungry for maybe some more answers. And if you want a book that is full of amazing science, read Charles Darwin's On the Origin of Species.
Yeah.
It's an amazing read. The man put together words like nobody else and put these ideas together out of brilliance. It's just brilliant. But the family, yeah, that's hard.
Sorry, I definitely do agree with what you just said. If you do reread those passages, sometimes it comes out as if it was a particular kind of interpretation. For example, it is taught that it is said in the Quran that the moon revolves around the earth, which is fine, but it also said that the moon has reflected light. It doesn't have light of its own. And when I investigated that it turned out that the word that's used, there's 3 meanings of that word, and one of the very, very less used meaning was that of a reflective lamp, so to speak. So that's kind of shady, but I would say there's other things like that the earth orbits the sun. Now, I know that at the time this may have not been known to people of that area, but I think it's possible it might have been known to people of other areas of the world, but then how would it have been communicated? So it's like some things are just, I feel like it's interpreted differently now because we know of the science, and then some things are just, some things just still impress me. I don't know what to say.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that you're on the right track. You're questioning your beliefs and you're investigating these things. And, I mean, I would encourage you to continue to do that. And I would second Claire's recommendation to read Charles Darwin's book. It's pretty phenomenal. And also Carl Sagan's book, Demon Haunted World. That's, a classic for everybody.
Richard Dawkins' book.
Yeah.
The God Delusion.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, it's an eye-opener. I do agree with most of what he says.
I have a question.
I mean, there are also other things, like there's a lot of embryology in detail in the Quran. I'm not an embryologist, but it appears to be correct.
Yeah.
I don't know how somebody could...
Let me ask you something regarding that embryology stuff. Okay. You're talking about people who probably kept animals as livestock, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who wrote those passages? Do you think it's possible that they, discovered some of this stuff in the course of butchering a pregnant animal?
Yeah, a lot of it is simply observation.
Yeah. You wouldn't need any kind of divine knowledge.
If the Quran said something about ontogeny recapitulating phylogeny, now that would be pretty amazing. But the words and the things that it mentions that I know of, I am not by any means an expert, sounds like the sorts of things that somebody would observe a long time ago.
Yeah.
And it's not really science so much as it's observation, maybe a lucky guess here or there. And like you said, some wrong guesses here and there.
Well, some of it is, it starts off by saying that human is created from a clot, and then it mentions the certain stages of the development of the embryo, and then
Abortion.
The bones develop, and
women miscarry.
Yeah.
It's not that bizarre.
Okay.
It's not like they had MRIs or other machinery that they could observe these things, or sonograms and such. Women have been miscarrying since, as long as women have been getting pregnant.
All right. Well, I certainly understand that. I do question everything I read, and a lot of it has turned out to be reinterpretation.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm sorry, was Claire the name of the other host?
Yeah.
Yes.
Claire, you were saying something about the family?
Yeah, it's one thing to question religion and make those decisions and changes in your own mind, but when you're steeped in a world and a family that religion is part and parcel of everything. When I go home to my in-laws, they view everything through the lens of God and Jesus. It's very hard for them to identify with anything that is in my worldview. They know I'm an atheist, and my mother-in-law and I talk about it. So if you're the only one, and I imagine it's somewhat similar to my husband becoming an atheist in his family. It's no small trick. A lot of things can happen. And Greta Christina has a book, Coming Out Atheist, is that the name of it?
Yep.
People telling their stories. Now, I imagine it's mostly biased towards Christian stories. I know from a friend who teaches at an international school and has a lot of students from Saudi Arabia and other Muslim countries that it is not a small matter to reject Islam. It is no small matter. It's not like rejecting Christianity here.
Oh, yes. If I said this publicly, I'd be executed.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's no small matter. So for me to give you any sort of advice, you have to do what you need to do.
And in fact, even, Christians who call us who don't have any connection to their family other than, a social connection now, they're not dependent on them for anything. We always advise them that, don't feel like you have to come out to your family, especially if that would put you at some kind of risk. And that goes especially for someone in your situation. Don't put yourself at risk. At some point, there may come a time when you can get to some place that's a little safer to be open as an atheist, but it sounds like that's not where you are right now, and so I don't want you to do anything that would put you at risk.
I think lying is a fine thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, in those instances.
Yes.
And then I have a third sort of concern. I don't know if it's a concern or not. There are times when I really want to go back and just into believing, and I know I'm like shutting down my common sense at that point, and I do understand it's for comfort. But, there are times when you absolutely have no hope, and then sort of that comes naturally to you.
Right.
What do you do in those times?
I don't have those times anymore. I don't actually ever want to go back. And I actually, I guess my deconversion happened over a period of time. It wasn't like I woke up one day and had this epiphany and decided, oh, I'm an atheist today. It was sort of a longer period of time. And by the time I got to the point where I realized I was an atheist, I really didn't, I hadn't been part of any kind of religious community for a long time anyway. And so I just never wanted to go back there. It doesn't mean that I didn't want community. And I think part of that is a desire for that community. And so this is where kind of being unable to come out as an atheist is kind of a problem. My recommendation right now would be is if you can join online atheist communities, that may be the best option for you in this situation. And especially if you can join a community where you can talk openly about, kind of where you are in terms of this feeling like you need, or you want to go back, you want to believe again.
Even that can be dangerous, though.
Yeah, even it can. And so,
can you write letters to somebody here in the United States? Maybe that would be all right.
Or if you can be in those communities, either as like in Facebook communities, some of them are closed, so that doesn't, if it's or a secret group, it doesn't show up on your timeline. So that's a possibility. Using a pseudonym, that's another option there, so that your friends and family don't know it's you. But there are ways of creating community now that didn't exist in the past.
And my response to his original question would be different from Jen's. I too was raised Catholic and always had trouble with religion, but didn't let go of it until later on. And I don't need any of the trappings of religiosity. The one thing that I fervently wish was true is that there's an afterlife, some sort of afterlife. I think David Bowie said something like, the one thing that doubles him over about dying was not getting to see his daughter grow. I want to see what happens. I want an afterlife. It's not happening. Yeah. And that's just something that I accept. Not happily, but I do.
Yeah.
Somehow I don't really care too much about afterlife.
Everybody's different.
It's just the knowledge that I want to have about what actually happens. Where does consciousness go, if it even goes anywhere?
It doesn't. It stops. It's like a car. If cars go and go and go, and you can take out parts, and it'll still run, and eventually it stops. No spirit, no nothing left it. It just doesn't work anymore. And we're just a bag of chemicals. Hate to get real down to the bottom of it. We're a bunch of chemistry going right. And a lot of that chemistry can go wrong, and you keep on living. You can lose a rear view mirror, you can all this sort of thing. But you'll keep chugging along, and eventually that last piston will go, and that's it. And you just stop running. There's no spirit. There's nothing happening there really other than chemistry, all gone right. And that is a hard thing to wrap your head around. I know.
And on that note, we are actually over time here, so I'm going to let you go. Thanks for your call.
Thank you for calling, and good luck.
And yeah, good luck. Happy New Year.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Happy New Year, and thank you so much. And I will email you.
All right.
And thanks for all the support.
Thanks.
You're doing a great job.
Well, thank you. Take care.